Welcome to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Nedling. You are about to discover impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you, so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Be sure you visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com. While you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now tune in, get ready, and enjoy the journey of emerging as a leader of exception in the 21st century.
Welcome everyone to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast. I'm your host, Vicki Nedling, coming to you from Roswell, Georgia. The goal of this podcast is to bring topics and guests that will empower you to grow your business and take it to the next level. I'm excited to have Timmy Gallagher as a guest today. Let me tell you a little bit about Timmy. He says coaching has evolved for him as a calling to be of service to others in their evolution of performance and leadership. His wisdom and experience of over 30 years in law enforcement, corporate, government, education, not-for-profit, spirituality, endurance athletics, and coaching certification, allow him to be agile and be present in coaching conversations. Coaching is to be thought-provoking. I can't even read today. Is to be thought-provoking and creative.
Right.
And it inspires you to maximize your personal and professional potential. And, I love your bio because for a lot of us that have been doing coaching or being in the corporate world, being a mentor or a manager, supervisor for years and years, and then when we go out into the world and decide we're going to dip our toe into this new entrepreneurship, we forget, I think, that there are other people that can help us along the way. And that's why I was so happy to have you as a guest to talk about performance and leadership and how coaching can be your best friend. So with that, please welcome Timmy Gallagher.
Thanks, Vicki.
You're very welcome. So we always start with the easy question.
Right.
What part of the country do you live?
So I'm in New Jersey, particularly in South Jersey. So I'm maybe 10 minutes from Philadelphia.
Ah, that's why you don't really have a true Jersey accent.
No, I have a Philadelphia accent.
You do?
I say water.
Water. Is that where I got that from? I'm from Pittsburgh, but my uncle is, he's passed, but he was from Philadelphia. And I do say water. And I've been teased all my life for that. I thought it was from somebody I met in Boston. I've been blaming Boston people.
Yeah, as they say, it's a Philly thing. That's one of our Philly things. So,
yeah, can't fault that. So how did you become a performance and leadership coach, Tim?
Good question, Vicki. Someone knocked on my door. It wasn't something I planned on doing or had this grand aspiration to be a performance and leadership coach. Someone at work they knocked on the door and said, look, I'm looking to go to the next level. And I've spoken to these life coaches, performance coaches, et cetera. And they didn't really click for him. And he said, I see what you do. I hear how you live. I would like you to coach me. And you hate to say no to somebody that's that earnest. So we talked it through, and based on, I've coached people athletically. I've certainly led people, in my various jobs. And I'll tell you, I'm in sobriety. So in the steps, you sponsor people. So, okay, this doesn't seem like it's a total stretch. So let's give it a shot. And it went really well. And after one of the sessions, he's like, T, you just need to do this. I think it's your calling. And when I've had spiritual direction, my spiritual directors have told me when you keep getting those knocks on the door, as Joe Campbell would say, the heed, the call, and the hero's journey. You need to answer it, or you're just going to keep getting bugged.
Mm-hmm.
So I know a C-suite level coach, very well known through my spiritual work. And I said, what do you think? He says, yeah, I could see it. I said, what do I do? And he said, you find a place to get the training, proper training and certification, and you go from there. And so I researched the various coaching schools and institutions that are out there. And I ended up at Brown University for their program. They've partnered with Act Leader. It's a private company. And together they have a leaders coach program, which is a short program, and then this full certification program, which sets you up to get your ICF, International Coaching Federation certification, which I now have. And in fact, I'm going back up to Brown in April to get certified as a team coach. Right now, I do individual. Yeah. And so thus it began, and it continues to evolve. Thus the name Evolute for the company. And candidly, yeah, I think this is what God wants me to do.
Yeah.
And for those that it resonates with, it works well. I'm not the coach for everybody.
I was just going to say that,
yeah.
to elaborate on the fact that, there are coaches everywhere.
Yeah.
All kinds of coaches, as you elaborated on. But the thing is, it's when you and I connect that the magic happens. And there could be a wonderful coach that you don't resonate with, right?
Correct.
And you're not going to achieve the greatness you could because of that.
Yeah. And to that point, I learned this from my business coach. And so if let's say you called me and you wanted to engage in coaching, we do a discovery call and here where you're at and here's how I coach. And I don't even get into the compensation package until we're a good 4 sessions in. Mm-hmm. And we know we're a really good fit. And if at that time it's not a good fit, you don't know me a single thing. I've learned from you. You've learned from me. And if you want a recommendation, I'm more than glad to turn you on to some other coaches I know.
Yeah. And I think that's the best way to do it. Some of the coaches will say, no, every call you have, but I believe for a lasting relationship, you need to take your time and date a little bit. You need to really see if it is a good fit, and let them see if what you've, sprinkle some things, I don't mind giving away tips and tricks to people and helping them. And if they never get me as a coach, that's fine. My goal in life is to help people. That is my goal. And I sense that is yours as well.
Yeah. We spoke about before we, went on to the podcast here, and ultimately it's about service. Ultimately, you get out of the me by getting into the we, right? Yeah. All these cliches, but it's true. We are gregarious by nature as a species. You can look at all the happiness studies that are out there, whether it's Kahneman or Dak Cantner, I believe his name is, out at UC Berkeley. And right now I'm looking at the Harvard studies, and, it all talks about this idea of you're part of something bigger. Yeah. That's where the gratitude comes in, the service. And what's neat because my niche is mental fitness, because when you go into gratitude and you go into service, what you're doing is you're literally moving from your limbic system, left side of your brain, over to that right side and prefrontal cortex. You literally are I was just on a call with a gentleman right before we got on, and it was sort of a discovery call. And he says he has a gratitude practice and that's great, because you can't be mad at somebody if you're going to be grateful for them. Your brain just can't do it, right?
Yeah, so true.
Yeah. I mean, we have an English bulldog, Trevor, the best bulldog ever. He's famous on Instagram. And Trevor's a bulldog, and Trevor will do things that are bulldogish. And then he'll give me that bulldog look and he twists his head, and it's like, I can't be mad at him anymore. And yeah, imagine a world because one of the things I look at is I believe coaching, and there's a lot of ways to unpackage coaching, but we can change the world. Because when you're part of something bigger and you're helping someone get to their better self, Vicki, like imagine if 25% of humanity in the world got into the we instead of the me. What would it look like tomorrow?
Yeah. For somebody who has spent 40 years or so in the corporate world, and that's what always so frustrated me, is because there were times where I had managers tell me to not do because it was setting a precedent. And I was like, but no, my DNA means I have to help these people. And, and it was so frustrating. And that isn't what I think the world needs,
That's interesting. You brought that up. So I do have a kind of day job. It's a leadership position. And yeah, like you said, it's very challenging. And we have this informal list of, since I arrived at this position about 6 years ago, everything they said we could never do. And now we can do it.
Yeah. That's a great thing to do.
Yeah. And
the pandemic taught that big time to us.
Yeah. And in that frustration, listen, we all get frustrated. And that's where the mental fitness comes in. If you're frustrated, you're in that limbic system, and what I call it, your judge shows up. Your judge wants to make something right or wrong. And then the judge says, hey, come here, look at this. And I call it your saboteurs. And there's 9 saboteurs, and one particularly becomes your main saboteur. So the judge calls in the saboteurs, and then it's like a Mel Brooks movie where it's all like harumph, harumph, harumph. And I didn't get a harumph out of that guy. And you're off to the races.
Oh, goodness. I think the next question I had, we really are starting already to touch on it, how people benefit from coaching. We talked about in the morning, or in the beginning of this that it really is something that's people, they let their egos get in the way of being coachable. And that's such a sad thing. From sports, you don't get better just by yourself. You need that coach and that guidance. Yeah. Even if the coaching is informal, that you're just watching someone do a stroke or a hit or something.
It's interesting you brought that up. When I arrived at this leadership job I have right now, one of the first things I put out was about athleticism and Michael Phelps. And one of his gold medals, you may know this story, his goggles filled up with water. Now that could easily be what I would call a saboteur moment of, this is unacceptable, I cannot do it. And Phelps continued on and set a world record. And I don't know if you know, so what was behind that? Well, 1, he trained with his goggles filled with water. 2, he knew exactly how many strokes he needed to get to the wall. And he learned all that because he was open to it, and he has a coach. So just like an elite athlete, let's say it's baseball. My youngest boy, Brendan, does baseball. If he's in the batter cage and it's not going well, a good coach is going to say to him, Brendan, what are you doing wrong? And Brendan's going to say, Coach, I think it's my hip engagement. You got it. Let's keep working at it. If you want to be at that level of athleticism, you have to be open to that coaching. In fact, you want that coaching. If it's a peer saying to you, have you ever thought of, no, tell me. But to your point, we get into these leadership roles, and have you ever thought of, who are you to tell me? Or, here we get into feedback and all these things, but go seek it. Every interruption is nothing but an invitation to get to your next level. And mental fitness coaching. So coaching is a conversation. Yes. And it's a thought-provoking, creative conversation that ultimately inspires the person to maximize their personal and professional potential. That's probably pretty close to the ICF definition. But it's not just a, how are you? How are you? Oh, harumph on that, right? There's 3 levels of conversation. There's, you talk about your topic, I talk about my topic. Then the next level is we talk about the same topic. In Philadelphia, it would still be, how about them Eagles in that Super Bowl?
I'm originally from Pittsburgh, but I still say, whoa, go.
I heard you on, I've listened to your podcast and I heard you talk about that. The third level of conversations where I listen to you talk about your relationship to your topic, and that's coaching.
Yeah.
Right. And that's how you can be, anybody can be a coach like a leader. I understand you have this. So, and we use all
Tell
those
me more.
thought-provoking.
Tell
Right,
me more.
right. 7 questions deep, all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the idea of coaching. Now, mental fitness, and it works with my athleticism, particularly my endurance work, is, okay, let me back up for a second. We have met the enemy. It's ourselves.
Yes, I was going to say it's right here.
And it is.
It is.
And so specifically that limbic system that wants to judge things, that's there because it helps us survive, rightfully so. Yeah. And it does 5 things: fight, flight, freeze, when we're jacked up about something. Then what else do we need to survive? I need to eat. So it feeds, and then it fornicates. That's how the species survives. It's biology 101. That part of our brain is, depending on the study you read, Vicki, 3 to 5 times stronger than your more human or thrive brain. 3 to 5 times stronger. So let's go with the heavy. It's 5 times stronger. So if that part of your brain can do 500 push-ups, how strong do you need to be able to beat it? Enough to do 501 push-ups.
Yeah.
So this literally takes work, just like you would work at your athleticism, or people go to these leadership seminars. But how can you be tactical and practical to improve your mental fitness? You work at it daily. So it's 5 times stronger. Well, dig this, Vicki. You got one brain, but you have 5 senses. What do I see? What do I hear? What do I smell, taste, touch? And what this study shows, here's the science. If you use one or combination of those senses for 10 seconds or longer, the neural pathway goes from left brain over to right brain, from that limbic system to that more open, empathetic, creative, all those things we want in our soft skill leadership and emotional intelligence leadership. There it is. The science is now backing it up. So what I do is I call it be present to the presence.
Yeah.
And the science is there. If you engage with me, I have an app, you can track it. It gives you 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10-minute reps, all that. It works if you work it. Take it a step further if you're inclined. I have one CEO I work with. We've been together for quite some time now. She says, all right, I'm doing it. I get it. It works. But listen, this click, you keep talking about presence. Could that be code for God? If you want to go down that road, there it is for you. So you want to keep it secular, fine. You want to go down the faith road. It's like a Valentine circle. It's all overlapping, but it's all about getting out of you, getting out of this brain, getting into your senses, getting into something bigger. There it is. It's as simple, but as hard as that.
Yeah. And I think the way that makes you more effective as a coach is that you give education and information, but then you have them do practical. You have them use the app, do that, and then report back. Make it accountable. If you just like, a lot of times we go to things and we get dumps of information, but we don't change. We don't act, and we won't grow. We won't evolve.
Yes. Thank you for the plug towards Evolute. That was just a LinkedIn post a few days ago. Information is not transformational.
Yeah.
And we have information overload. Easy to get the information.
Yeah, for sure.
But what do you do with it? And what I like about coaching is, so there's the conversation. Part of it's the accountability piece, as you know. And then the niche, we have to have a niche, right? In marketing, the niche for me is, and I'm an athlete, is the mental fitness thing. So, okay, out of those, like, I'll ask you, Vicki, out of what you see, what you hear, smell, taste, touch, what do you think is the one sense that really works for you?
So for me,
Yeah.
it's I guess the touch, the feel, it's really what I feel that is my motivator.
Right. So one of the exercises I offer is just your thumb and your index finger, right? And I have the client just, if you could, you close your eyes and just really feel all the nuances and ridges of your finger, your thumb. Move it around and notice, well, there's my nail, and oh, cool, I got a little hangnail there, and all the ridges. If you can just stay centered on that for 10 seconds or longer, you're improving your neural pathway.
Oh, very cool.
Now, here's what's neat about this. It's tactical and practical. I can be in a board meeting and I realize I'm getting hijacked. My under the table or right there, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's not just information, it's tactical and practical application. And here's what's neat. Our brains like to put things on automatic pilot, burns less energy. When you do this long enough, it becomes the new habit.
Yeah.
You replace the habit with a better habit. So the app takes you through a 6-week boot camp. It's got a graph. It's got all there. I can see it. I have a dashboard. And the theory would be, now that you have this basic fitness, either carry on quite smartly, midshipman, or stay with me and we'll keep working at it with the coaching. And it works. Why? Because you're literally developing neural pathways in your brain, which will translate into, I'm showing up with a thrive mentality, my best self, my evolved self, call it what you want, which means you're a better leader, not just a better leader at the office, with your friends, with your family. It's a total transferable skill.
Oh, so good.
Isn't it?
That's so good. Yeah, that's great. All right. So what keeps most people from success and significance?
Well, we alluded to it earlier, right? Our own stories, our own brain, all the, there was a post on LinkedIn the other day about, the what if, and it's great. Like, what if? I say, pivot that into what is. So let's unpackage that a little bit. I'm in a meeting and it's a challenging meeting. What is actually happening here? Well, if you understand mental fitness, they're in saboteur. I'm going to choose not to be in saboteur. See, out of every circumstance and outcome, there's a gift and opportunity. So in this particular circumstance, I realized they're saboteur. I'm choosing not to be saboteur. There's my first gift. I'm not going to get hijacked on their mirror neurons. We have neurons that want to do this. Then the next gift would be, I'm going to do some breathing here, some box breathing. Now I'm going to get present to them. And now I can be a coach like them and say, Vicki, all right, I can see you're quite emotional about this. Help me understand what do you really want me to get about this topic we're talking about? See how we just pivoted that and it's what we call blameless discernment, where I just step out of it like, I'm not going to get hijacked and I'm not going to judge this.
Well, and you also are putting it back to them by showing, I want you, I'm not shutting you out. I'm not shutting you down. I'm offering this opening for you to further express your feelings.
That's right. Because we don't change people, we change our behavior towards people.
Yeah. Oh, this is great. This is great. So the last question I have before we go to rapid fire is, how do you think coaching is changing the world? And I want you to kind of think not so much what it was 4 years ago, but in these last 3 years and going forward now as we come almost in recovery.
Yeah, and I think maybe one of the things you're getting to is during COVID, a lot of people realized, I'm going to jump on this coaching bandwagon and I can get my certification. So there's a lot of coaches out there, and there's a lot of people that during COVID really went inside. They were literally inside, they were figuratively inside, and they went into here. to your point, very practical point, talking to a very dear friend who during COVID lost his wife. She passed away, lost a job, and then his son had cancer, and he's gotten through all that. And because of COVID at all, he has now realized it's years later, he hasn't even started the grieving process. Right? So there's so much that we stop being abundant about and thriving about with COVID, and we're starting to come out of that now. So you have a lot of people that are coaches now. You have a lot of people that are merging with new mindsets. And so coaching, the idea of conversation, listen, whether you're engaged with a professional coach or just someone that's coached, like it's the idea of having these open, creative conversations to let's open up the windows, not just literally, but figuratively of our mind. And how can we do that? Let's get present to the presence. Let's get present to each other and our senses. Make sense?
It does. I don't think that people will accomplish all they can if they stay within the walls of where they were in these last several years. I think a lot of us shove down how we feel, and as you said, didn't grieve, and a lot of people are pretty confused right now.
Yeah. To your point, some people either shut it down or they just amplified it, where it's just a cacophony of what they feel and nobody else can even hear them now. Yeah. So the work that needs to be done in fitness, mental fitness, emotional sobriety, resiliency, call it what you want. Let's go back to Joe Campbell and the hero's journey. The heed the call is clearly out there. The CDC just came out with a study of how the sense of anxiety in young women, teenage women, is like we've never seen. I literally have a stepdaughter next door that is in that. And what's neat is, because of my coaching and my spirituality, we actually have great talks. So people need that. But you're right. There's a lot that we've been through that we're just starting to really realize how it affected us. Don't you think?
I absolutely do. Yeah. That as things unravel over the next several years, I think it's going to be very enlightening, maybe somewhat sad, but I'm hoping that folks will watch and listen to things like this to get hope, to seek guidance, and to start to get past it.
Yeah. And remember, out of every circumstance or outcome, there's a gift and opportunity. So there is a gift and opportunity for us as individuals and as a society and a culture. See, life doesn't happen to you. It happens for you. If you believe life happens to you, you're right. And as Dr. Phil would say, how's that working out for you? But how's that working out for you? But if it happens for you, you're making the pivot. And there it is again. You're making that brain go from left to right, out of that saboteur where everything's a saber-toothed tiger into, what is the caterpillar that is now butterfly? Man, I am really whimsical today. I've never talked this way. You're bringing it out in me,
I
Vicki.
guess. It is time now for rapid fire. So I have just 4 phrases or questions for you. Is coaching for everyone?
I would say yes, as long as you have the right coach for you.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah.
So what is needed for someone who decides they want to be coached?
Yeah. At its core, vulnerability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So true.
At the surface, it's a problem. I have a problem. Can you help me with it? But what we're really getting to is the vulnerability, because we've met the problem. It's probably you and your brain.
Yeah. And I think a lot of times it's, we have this problem, but really it's not
Yeah.
this problem.
Yeah.
It's other things
You're 100% correct.
bring to the surface. Yeah. What are the key aspects of evolute, coaching and performance? What are the key aspects?
Well, that's me and my company. So it's a chance to work with somebody who's still a leader and helps leaders and has been through a heck of a journey. You heard it in the workup, who truly is called to help people get to their next level.
So what is the next big thing for you?
Going back up to Brown University and get certified in team coaching. And
how long will that take you?
It's 1 week up there, and then it becomes asynchronistic with a bunch of different things. So I think it's a few months when it's all said and done, but
not too bad.
Yeah, it's not too bad. No.
Not too bad. All right, it's time now for us to share my screen. So if you have not taken notes, shame on you. But you can subscribe to my YouTube channel and be able to hear this great conversation that we're having. So Timmy Gallagher can be reached going to evoluteperformance.com. That's evoluteperformance.com. Again, evoluteperformance.com. He is on LinkedIn by going to Timmy Gallagher Evolute. And he will tell you a little bit about what he has on that website. So talk to us about your call to action.
Yeah, the website will lay out to you the various things we spoke about and how we can engage. I will also mention that my LinkedIn, Timmy Gallagher, I post a presence exercise every day.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So if this has whet your appetite, so to speak, you can sort of jump in. It's been going on for a while now, so it might seem a little helter-skelter meeting, but you'll pick up on it. And you can get a presence exercise every day.
Oh, nice.
And what goes on LinkedIn is like a few months behind what I give clients every day. Right now, the clients and I are working through Happiness 101 out of the Harvard studies. And if you want that, all I need is a number or email, and I can send you the up-to-date ones. But check me out on LinkedIn. Timmy Gallagher's on LinkedIn, Evolute's on LinkedIn, and evoluteperformance.com has all the services I can provide to you, which is, I just want to help.
Sounds wonderful. Wonderful. All right. So if you have not got the screenshot, do it now. Well, Timmy, it has been just such a wonderful conversation that we've had today. I loved hearing all about what you do, and thank you for your service. I appreciate it. If you liked what you heard today, audience, definitely subscribe so we can do more of this and have Timmy back to talk even more about how he's done after he gets that next certification. So I'll just have to have him back in a couple 6 months or so. And as always, I remind you that life is a journey and it is up to you to enjoy the ride. This is Vicki Nettling signing off.
Thank you for tuning into the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Nettling, where we share impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Remember to visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast.